Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Something Like Therapy, the podcast where I'm hoping and believing that you'll leave feeling just a little bit better than how you felt when you first clicked on that button to watch this podcast. I believe that with all my heart, that if you sit back, relax, and listen, something will be said today that might help. I'm excited. Every episode I'm excited, but today it touched just a little closer to heart. We got some mothers in here, and we're going to talk about what it's like to raise a Black son, and not to negate any other race or ethnicity or sex or gender, anything like that. But I just think this is important, and I want to pull some points out. And so we're excited about that. And so we're just going to focus on just raising a Black son, especially with everything that's going on today in the world. And so I'm excited. I sent out the invitation, and I have some young ladies who accepted that. And so we're going to dive right into it. I'm going to start to my right. Miss Chantel, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, as they say. All right. Straight ahead of me, we have BJ. I was going to say, VJ, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, I'm good. And last but not least, Precious, the Mrs. Something Like Therapy, the apple of my eye as well.
Oh.
Yeah, you get it all. You know, they love you. I love you. I'm glad you're back. We're gonna dive right into this. You all ready for this podcast?
Sure thing.
All right, we're gonna be truthful. I like to stay transparent, and so we just gonna talk, and hopefully we can open up some eyes and dig deep into kind of this world that goes unnoticed or may come off one-sided, right? And so we're gonna talk about it. All right, so right off the back, I'm gonna throw some things at you, and I want to know from each one of you all. One, how many sons do you have? And then, how old were you when you had your first son? All right, and we'll start with Miss Chantel.
How many sons do I have?
Yeah.
One and only. One. And how old was I when I had my son? I was 21.
Okay, 21.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna throw it out there. Your son just graduated from high school. Pick up. And
Thank you.
I know her son, know him quite well. I know he was so tiny, and now this dude was 6'3".
3.
Nah, he's not 6'3".
He's 6'3".
I'm 6'3". Oh, we the same?
He is 6'3". He's my son, so I know.
Okay. I have that eye though. I have the eye. I can. All right.
Receipts? You pulling receipts?
VJ, how many sons you have, and how old were you?
I have 2 sons, and I was 17 when I had the oldest.
Okay. All right, two boys. Also know your sons well. Your bodyguards, yeah. Your bodybuilders in training.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so 1, 2. How many sons do you have?
Total,
Yeah.
together, blended, I have 7 sons. I've only birthed 3.
Okay.
Okay. My oldest is 16. I was 17 whenever he came into the world.
Okay. All right.
Pregnant at 16 though.
16. So you all were the original.
We were the original 16
And we
pregnant.
didn't
We
even
tell
get paid.
people this all the time, but we
Okay.
couldn't get a show.
Hey.
Them people rich and stuff, having babies.
He was
as
definitely supposed to be
teenagers.
us.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
All right. So with that being said, I know you only have one, but what is your relationship like? And we'll come back this way. What is your relationship like with your oldest?
Oh, that's my bestie.
Yeah.
For sure.
I imagine the age of 16,
We're
17.
like the same age.
I keep wanting to tell people that.
We grew up together.
Yeah.
So the fact that we grew up together, you have a different bond.
Yeah.
I think than you do with anybody else. I do have a son that's 2 years apart, so it's still kind of the same thing. I was very young then too, but my firstborn, he made me grow up.
Yeah.
So of
That's
course
deep.
we have a deeper bond than anyone else that came thereafter.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot just from having him first.
Okay. I skipped something. I didn't even give myself. So I also have 7 sons. I birthed none of that. I believe, 19 when I was there supporting.
When the first one was born.
Yes. So I forgot. I didn't answer that as well. My junior. So yeah, my junior, who's also getting ready to be taller than senior. Ridiculous. So all right, let's answer. How's your relationship with your oldest?
It's kind of the same, like Precious said, like we grew up together, right? I mean, I was 17. I was still in high school. Yeah. I was a kid. Yeah. A kid having a kid. So we grew up together. We've been through a lot together, and, through everything, we've had each other, right? So.
Good. You, Miss Shay? Chantel?
How's my relationship with my oldest? Without tears, I would say that is aside from God, that is my protector.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot, been through a lot together, but I wouldn't change none of it.
Yeah.
So our relationship is phenomenal.
I like that, and I can see that. I can see because I do have the privilege of knowing all of you all sons. I can see the protector side from all of you all, and I see that especially.
He's like my dad.
Yeah. You're being my wife.
It's funny because they're such a close age. Like I was about to leave the other day, and he's like, "Where are you going? You want to work out?"
I got a FaceTime. Yeah. Your car's not here. Where you at? With my husband?
Yeah. I'll tell a story. So, of course, my boys, like, I'm dad, and so before we met, it's like, I'm dad. Don't ever hit that line. And I remember, I think we were married. I think it was the COVID wedding that we had, but we were married. Yeah. And we ducked off. We went to a hotel. Like, we're grown. We didn't have the twins, so we ducked off.
But I didn't tell them that we weren't coming home.
But again, didn't tell my son. I was like, so when he called and I'm hearing this deep, where you at? Why you ain't say you? What? I'm like, who are you talking to? But that was the relationship, and I always respected that. I joked to her about it, but I always respected that. And he even told me, he was just like, man, I'm glad you're here, because now I don't have to be like, now you gotta watch what she's doing. But I can see that relationship, especially with you all being young and you just having him. I can completely understand it. I think I see it often, even in the area that I work in. You see that when it's that son that is close to the mom. It's like, he's the first boyfriend. It's just like, watch what you're doing. All right. Another question I throw at you all. If you ever thought about it before having a baby, what type of mom did you want to be or thought about being? And then are you living up to that mom that you had in your head? If you thought. Now, some of you all may have never thought about being. I just know little girls have tea parties and they play school and stuff like that. But did you ever think about, this is the type of mom I'm going to be? And then are you living up to what you thought would be that mom? I'll start with you, Shay.
What type of mom did I expect to be, or did I think I would be? To be honest, as a young girl, I didn't think I would have children. So this is an interesting question, to say the least. I know if I could really think about that, and like you said earlier, to be transparent, I didn't ever think I wanted to be a single mom. Because that in itself, trying to teach a young boy how to be a man, something I can't do, that's difficult. And it's something that, unfortunately, so many moms, single or not, try to do and try to play a role that we were never created to be. We were never created to do. So it's definitely hard and something that we should not have to do. Yeah. But unfortunately, we do the best we can with everything that we've been given. Yeah. But am I living up to something that I didn't expect to do? 10 toes down, 10 hands up. Yeah. I would say absolutely. Yeah. I'm doing that, and the best that I could possibly do in what I've been given. So
Yeah.
Hopefully that answers
it
your
does.
question.
And you're in my notes. I was getting ready to stop. You're like, hold up, you're in my
I'm
notes.
sorry.
But no, that's,
Do we have tissue? Do we have tissue?
I love it. All right, VJ. Well,
so similar to Chantel, originally when I was really little, I didn't think I was gonna have kids. I wanted to like dance and, I didn't really want to adult.
Yeah.
But, I ended up having a kid fairly young. And for me, it was, I just wanted to be a good parent. So I was raised by my grandparents.
Okay.
And everything in me was like, no matter what, I'm going to raise my children. Period.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to do that.
Yeah.
I absolutely refuse. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my grandparents to death.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything that they did for me. I wouldn't change it. But because of that, I was going to raise my kids.
Absolutely.
I don't care what I had to do, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say I've made the best decisions all the time. I know I've messed up. I know I've screwed up. But I do think that given the circumstances, I've done the best that I can, and I've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Get it.
I like that. Want to take a crack at that?
Your girl never wanted a kid. not man kid a day in her life. I was going to live my best life with no kids ever.
Yeah.
And now I have like 8.
Yeah, I know.
That's bananas. However, let me tell you something. I decided that what I was going to do is no matter what, after I found out I was pregnant, because at that time, the abortion was not an option for me. It's my own personal. So I said, I'm going to get my job, I'm going to graduate high school, and I'm going to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
Single or not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this kid did not ask to be here. I did what I had to do to get him, unfortunately-ish, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, however you want to look at it. But like similar to all the other ladies, a single mom at that point. And it was difficult, but I did it. And again, just like VJ said, you mess up sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know that. And I've had hard conversations with him several times where it made me cry. And still to this day, and I'm in my 30s, but I'm really close to his age.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still to this day, it's like, no matter what I do, I always want to make, not just him though, any of my children proud.
Yeah.
And so I can't really say how I wanted to be as a parent because I never wanted a kid.
Yeah.
But once I became a mom, let me say that, I just wanted to do everything I could just to be the cool mom, I guess.
Yeah.
And be respected. Don't play with me.
Yeah. You all kind of hit on a little bit of the next one I wanted to talk about, and again, transparency, but it's you definitely can opt to pass. But you were talking about it, and so I want to say, what if you don't mind sharing, maybe a time where you didn't live up to the title of a mom, or a time where you wish I can take this back, being a mother, like, man, I wish I can take this back.
Okay, well, it's transparency. I was a thotty body, trying to be. I really wasn't, but I was trying to be. And unfortunately, at the age that I was trying to be, my son was old enough to understand. So he was not very happy with like things that I would post on social media. And we followed each other, and he was like, I'm going to block you. Or he's actually reached out to people that he would see leave comments under my page. So I never want my son, any of my kids, to be feel like they're in a situation to where they have to be my father.
Yeah.
You know? And because of the age where he was, I guess he just felt like, Mom, you're better than that. And I just feel that, I mean, of course, yes. However, being in that moment of my life, I just did it because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Not realizing like, your kids are going to see this in real life, And so I just don't want, I don't want that particular time of my life to define who I was as mom at that time.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Man, you helped so many people. Like, you don't even know all the stuff you just said. But one, just maturity is what I heard out of that. Two, I think even myself, like on my side, even for my boys, because you all don't get a fair shot, because you all do certain things as women, and it's like we throw these negative names out there. Then I do it, and it's high five. Your boy out here killing the game. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
But I know that with my boys, they saw some things that it's like I wish I could take back. So hearing what you say, it's like, hey, for any parent out there, like, we don't oftentimes think about the things we're doing while we're doing them, how they're going to affect the next generation. And just what you're saying, like, we don't know what he felt, what he was going through, you know, and even you mentioned it, like, at that time, it didn't matter. This is what I wanted to do. But then you can look back and be like, man, you know, and so that was deep. Thank you for sharing that. That's deep. I appreciate it. BJ?
I would probably say, you know, from the time that he was born up until he was 6 or 7, I want to say I moved like 10 times.
Okay.
You can imagine what that'll do to a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He went to, 3 different school districts, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Man, it was rough, right? And so for me, it was like, I don't want to be here no more, so I'm gonna leave. I don't want to be here, so I'm gonna leave. Like, you really need to think about that. Like, in my mind, it's like, it's no big deal. Whatever, we just gonna pick up and move. We just gonna pick up and move. Like, I'm not stuck anywhere. And then, you know, even with that, you know, staying in relationships longer than I should have, right? So we, you know, a lot of times, you know, when you have a little kid, and so when they're around someone, you don't want to sever their relationship, one. And then you don't want to be, you're like, oh man, then what's going to happen if somebody else comes around and all this other stuff. And so I definitely stayed in relationships longer than I should have. Moved around way too much. And that, you know, that ultimately has an impact, not just on you, but obviously the kid. And especially once they get to school age, like, it's hard, like, it's rough. And it's like, I was young. I was trying to figure out, you know, where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. Not really, you know, I was kind of thinking about school for him, but I'm like, oh, it's elementary school. It's not that big of a deal. Right? And realistically, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, it was, you know, I think in my mind, I was trying to find stability, but in the midst of trying to find that stability,
you were unstable.
I was just all over the place.
I get it.
Like, all over. So I do wish that I would have, you know, done a better job of, you know, making better decisions and thinking things through a little bit more before just, you know, rushing in. But
I get it. I appreciate it. So you all didn't know the questions I was going to ask, so I'm glad you all are digging deep and giving me some good answers. I appreciate it. All right, Ms. Shante, what we got?
I would say interesting. It's twofold. It's something that I felt like as a mom I could have done better with, but it's something that I learned from my son. It's something he was able to teach me, not only just in that instant, but moving forward, future. So, you know how as a parent, you pull the trump card. And when I say pull the trump card, it's do as I say, not as I do, or do as I say because I said it, because I'm the parent. And in that, my son, one situation looked at me and was like, Mom, have you ever thought about not just because I'm your son, you're making me do a thing, but have you ever thought about how I feel and my feelings with not just your request, but in what's going on, like in that situation. So it had me think about, you know, you considering your child's feelings. If you think back to when you were a child, what was one of your arguments or one of your things that you felt, man, my mama don't listen. My daddy don't listen. You know, so how does that make your child feel regardless of the age? How would you feel if somebody, you're saying something, your mouth is moving and something's coming out, but that person is not listening to you? Man, that hurts, you know, that bothers you. So I am grateful for that situation where my son allowed me to open up my mindset and my thought process to say, okay, this is what I want and this is what I want you to do. And ultimately, you are going to do it out of respect, but I'm also going to listen to how you feel about it and, you know, process that particular thing better. So it helps both parties in that situation. So I'm grateful I was able to learn the lesson from my child at that time to listen to what he's saying because it matters. Your child matters. Your child's voice matters. They have a voice. Give them a voice. Don't rob your child of the voice that God has given them, you know, respectfully, truly, but don't rob them of that. So
absolutely. I like that. All right. We're gonna dig even deeper. There's levels to this thing. But before we do that, I'm gonna ask this question, then I just kind of want you to give me maybe the first thing that popped into your mind, okay? But I'll give you a second to think about it. What's the one lesson in life you want your son to learn? All right. Chantel, I'm gonna start with you. The one lesson you want your son to learn.
The one lesson I want him to learn is to be the man God has called him to be.
Okay.
Not the man I expect him to be, not the man society has stated, it wants him to be.
Yeah.
Excel beyond the stigma that society expects you to be, but to truly be the man God has called him to be.
Okay, I like that. BJ?
I think for me, it's understand you cannot take back anything you say or do.
That's deep.
Wow.
Once it's done, once it's said, you can't take it back.
So if I say I'm sorry,
So this is what I used to tell him a lot when he was younger, because, he would do something, I'm sorry. He would do something, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you might be.
Yeah.
And somebody might accept it, but they're not going to forget.
Yeah.
They're not going to forget. That's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So you can't take it back. You can apologize.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it. I mean, even not just with kids, even in relationships.
Right.
I might forgive you, but trust and believe I ain't forgot about it. Right. So I just really want him to understand you can't take stuff back.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
And so you really need to think about what it is you're doing, what it is you're saying, and the impact that it's going to have on you ultimately.
Yeah.
Because are you okay with whatever consequences may come from this?
And the fact that you can't control the consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something Bishop been telling me. Like, you all don't know what Bishop is, but he's been telling me, like, son, just know you can't control the consequences. This went from raising black sons to making a better husband. You need to listen whatever you say. All right, go ahead and answer that for me if you don't mind.
I had two, but I'm going to leave that one for later. Lately, I have said to him, just be mindful and cautious of who you're hanging out with.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to be associated with this person.
Absolutely.
And if they're doing wrong, unfortunately, you're labeled as doing wrong.
Absolutely.
If you get into an altercation, then you're going to be targeted with that person.
Absolutely.
So, in anything, law, schooling, anything, stealing, all kinds of stuff. So just be careful and mindful in who you're hanging out with and who you call your friend and who you're really letting into your personal life, because that can lead you down the wrong path quickly.
Absolutely. That kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about. This was just the icebreaker, but it's talking about raising black sons, so we have to kind of chip away at actually what that means. And so one of the things you said, being careful who you hang out with, because you will be labeled. And having the experience of law enforcement, I know that to be true. We look at who you're associated with. That's the first thing we do. If we can't find, who are you associated with? What are some of your associates? And we're not looking like, oh, okay, that's just his cousin. No, who is that? Let's go see what's going on there. And so that's big. With everything that's going on in the community, right now, everything that's going on in the world, we have to address this issue because, like I say, there's another side to it. And I want to kind of get the opinion of you all, right? All right, so let's make this one quick. But for everyone, tell me give me a positive black male role model that you have in your life, Chantel.
A positive black role model that I have in my life. It is a spiritual role model, and that would be my pastor / bishop.
Yeah. Okay. VJ?
For me or for my kids?
No, for you.
That's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Oh, I'm asking this on purpose. I'm asking on
I mean,
everything is with purpose.
For the longest time it was my grandfather, but he's been gone for 11 years now. it's rough.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was gonna hit you with LeBron until you said something to save your life.
First of all,
like for real.
if he wants to pay for this or sponsor this podcast,
then by all means.
Honestly, you.
Oh, come on. Now.
No, seriously, this is stupid. So, well, one, you've changed my mindset around for law enforcement. Yeah. So kudos to that.
Okay.
And just you are completely different than the stereotype, right? And so I learn from you. Okay. I learn a lot from you. Sometimes I don't even know what you're saying because you're just so deep and smart. And I'm like, let me just get in that head. But you're a positive role model in our home with our kiddos, and then you're a positive role model in the schools that you were in, and then as well as on the road with your squad. And so I have to look at that and say, okay, we have a Black man, one, stable, two, he's been at his career for a while, and how many people have you literally helped in this span of life? Or well, not life, but even life, because even before, when I met you, you had your calling then. So that would be it. I mean, I don't have my father. I didn't know my grandfather. I don't know my Black side at all. So just a couple people here and there. But like in my life, I would have to say my husband. Antonio Payton.
If we didn't mention it, my wife she's mixed, so that's what that means. I want them like, what's she talking about? So just yay or nay. But this next question, but just say I asked that, like I say, on purpose. When I think about the things we want to talk about, it's all intentional. And the fact that I have three intelligent, women who are just dominating their careers, and you ask them to give me a positive Black role model. It's not just the kiddos, it's even now the adults, it's very few in between. And it's like, man, if I ask this in a different group, they'll probably tell me, Dad, Dad taught me how to do this. Dad taught me how to do that, or, my uncle such and such, or my papa such and such, or, the supervisor on my job, he tells me how to go out there and just be a dog-eat-dog world. And when I ask us that question, it's almost crickets of, okay, let me see. No, he said positive. Okay, no, because he taught me how to slide. And you know what I mean? So with that being the case, for us as adults, then is the same cricket sound for our children, So with that, I'm going to ask just yay or nay. Is biological father around for your son?
No.
Is biological father around for your son?
I'm going to say yes.
Good. I like it. Biological. For the oldest, we can just stick to the oldest.
Not anymore.
Okay. Because I know I'm here for
Right. Not at this time.
Okay. All right. I'll even be transparent. There is one, we always mention him in the numbers, but there's one that I have that unfortunately, for the circumstances that I'm not in his life, and it eats me up, but it is what it is. He still has that. If you ask him, Dad's not around. He's a young fella, and I hope it gets better. But with that being said, it takes me back to this episode of Fresh Prince, and you might I can't. Sometimes to watch this clip, it just breaks me down, and I'll set up the episode. It's Will Smith, his dad, come back in town, and Uncle Phil's like, hey, be careful, your dad's kind of in and out. He's like, no, my dad's doing this, and we're good, the entire episode. And then he tell Uncle Phil, hey, I'm gonna go for the summer, I'm gonna be with my dad over the road. And he's like, all right, son, Will, be careful. He's getting ready, he's so excited. He come down the steps, and he's just like, or before he come down the steps, the dad come in, talk to Uncle Phil. He was like, hey, where's Will at? He's like, upstairs getting ready. He's like, hey, I just want to tell you, something came up. I got to go. And Uncle Phil was like, I'm not telling him. You tell him. And he was just like, I thought you could do that, man. I got to get going. He was like, you always do this to him. And then Will comes down the steps, and he's like, Daddy-o. And I watch it. Like I said, I've seen it a couple of times. It just always breaks me. But then he talks to Will, and he was like, hey, son, something came up. I got to get going. And there's a part in there where Will put on this resilience, and he just like, it's cool. Go and have go ahead. You enjoy yourself. And then Will talks to Uncle Phil, and he said, you know what, Uncle Phil? He was like, I don't need him. You know, he didn't teach me how to shoot a basketball, but I became really good at it. Uncle Phil said yes. He said he didn't teach me how to ride a bike, but I became good at it. He didn't teach me how to talk to girls, but I became good with it. And he's angry. And then all of a sudden he breaks and he says, why don't my dad love me? Right? Powerful. And Uncle Phil just hold him, and you see this man, this we know Will to be a ladies' man, to be tough, and you see him breaking because of the absence of his father, right?
Yeah.
So my question with that, I mean, just blessed that biological dad is there, but for you all who haven't experienced it, what do we say to our sons? Even the son that I don't see, what do we say when they ask Mom, why wasn't I enough for Dad to stick around? What do we say? And I don't care who answers this.
For me, because I can only speak for me, what do I say? I affirm who he is and what I expect from him in knowing who he is, because it's important for sons and children in general to know who they are, minus whatever is going on, in spite of what's going on around them, in spite of what other people tell them they are and what they are not. It's important for them to know who they are. So you have to affirm who they are. And I constantly, consistently, key word is affirm who he is, for him to understand that and to know that. And it's not something that's just sporadically done. It's something daily that I speak to him about who he is, not only as my son and not only as my Black son, but a king, a general. You know, it's something you have to constantly do for them to understand identity, because unfortunately so many children now today in today's society are faking to be something that they're not. They're faking to be, you know, who they see on TV. They're faking to be who they see in magazines. They're faking to be, you know, who they aspire to be. And the identity crisis is unfortunate, and it's too great, way too great. So you just affirm who they are, speak to them so they understand who they are and know their identity in spite of biological not being there. Because unfortunately, hear my heart, it is an unfortunate situation because it's not the child's fault. But oftentimes, it's actually a protection that person is not there.
Explain.
Yeah.
Because if that person, and in this case, biological dad, was there, you don't know what could happen or what could be because of that person being in their life. Say, for instance, and this is not my situation, but say, for instance, biological is an alcoholic, or say, for instance, biological dad is an abuser. What would you have to experience or what would you have to go through if that person were in your child's life? So my prayer, and this is honest, this is my situation. My prayer is thanking God for the protection of what happened with him not being there. The foundation that he gave me to be able to build in my son for biological dad not being there, and protecting us from what could have happened had he been there. And
I just want to say I reference biological dad because shout out to all the bonus dads. That's the word that you taught me. There's so many bonus dads that's stepping up, and we're saying like, hey, I understand that when I love you and I marry you, I love those children and I marry those children. So I'm not picking on me, and that's why I specifically said biological dad, and that was deep. Anyone else can answer. You don't have. We can move on. If anyone wanted to take a crack at that.
I mean, so my my situation with my oldest is a little complicated, right? Okay. But what I talked to him about, and like we've told him, whatever people's decisions are have nothing to do with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. None of whatever they decided, however that worked out, it had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. Like, just understand, unfortunately, you know, people make decisions, people do things, whatever, and, you know, they're doing it for whatever works for them at that time. It's about them. It's about them personally.
Yeah.
It impacts you. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We completely understand that. And, you know, it sucks and it hurts and it's real crappy.
Yeah.
But understand they're making that decision for them.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. As you were talking, I'm in my mind, I'm like, man, do I even want to share? But even the thoughts gets me, you know, I'm not an emotional person, but it gets me emotional because I think about as many accolades that I get for being a father, there's still one out there that don't see me, right? And so it's just what you said. It's the same thing. If he came to me and was like, why wasn't I good enough? And I talk to my wife often, and it's just like, man, I don't want to be a sapsucker is what I tell myself, because I'm like, no matter what I'm fighting, unfortunately, the parents, we're being immature. We're being immature about the situation. But it doesn't matter, because it's that kiddo. And so my thing is like, how hard do you fight? And there are days when it's just like, is it worth it? But it is. Yeah. I can't give up, because it's like, hey, man, you know, this is what he needs. You know, this is what he needs. And
so much.
Yeah, and so like, just hearing that side of it, it gives me more motivation. Like, man, you can't give up. And it's like, what would I tell him? Just tell him, like, you were enough.
Exactly.
This was me. This was my decision. I always tell her, I said, when the time come and he see me, I said, whether he wants to hug me or fight me, he's entitled that. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And even though other people can be like, oh man, you did this, don't take that away from him. He's entitled that his dad was not there no matter what the reason was. And so it helps me, and we're being transparent, you know. And so I think about even on the father side, you know, because I don't know what these men think. You know, I don't know. The men have their reasons for whatever reason. So like, we're not, there's not my intentions to be a bashing dude. I'm a man's man. So it's not that, you know, they have whatever reason, but at least if they see this podcast, they can see the other side of it. And I'm glad that you all you're not bashing the men. It's about motivating that son so that he won't repeat history. Because they say history repeat itself. History repeat itself if you don't know what already happened.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If I touch the stove and I say it's hot, son, don't touch the stove because it's hot. If he see the burn, then maybe I don't have to touch that. So if our sons see, this is what my dad did, you have the opportunity to change that generational curse. Absolutely. And we did an episode earlier with my dad, and we talked about that. And I want to kind of go back to what you said. You were saying, if he's in his life, the things he'll pick up. Chantel, unfortunately, even if that dad's not around, unfortunately, sometimes that son will mimic
still
the bad traits of that dad. And my dad and I, we talked about that. There was some absentees there, and it's like, but I still picked up some of those negative habits that he had. And it's like, man, you're not even here. like you're not even here to teach them to me. But he saw, and one of the things, and you just have to check out the episode, but one of the things he said was like, I saw myself in you. That wasn't a compliment. It wasn't a compliment. So just say that. Did you want to take a...
Nah.
Okay. All right. Ain't no problem. One of the things I want to talk about, and you kept hitting on it, give me you all's take on what social media, what the media, what we're seeing about the black man. You all's take on it, and I'm not even gonna say what you say or what you saw or anything like that. Your perspective, whatever you're seeing right now about the black man, give me your perspective on that.
Unfortunately, I just feel like every time I turn around, the black man is always a gangbanger, selling drugs, talking about killing. And this is just things that I've seen. There's very few and far between, I think I said that right, that you see the positive ones. Because unfortunately, in this society, people are leaning towards what's cool and what's popular.
Yeah.
Not realize, and then these kids are mimicking, like you've said before too, not realizing that a lot of this is fake or a front. And they don't really live the life that they're trying to say. But now these kids are trying to be this person or this rapper or this whatever. And they don't really get the concept that this is just what they do for entertainment.
Yeah.
And then the ones that are respectful and powerful and educated, unfortunately, they don't get the same kudo and they don't get the same respect. And they're not labeled as cool, I guess, and they don't want to look up to them, when in reality, that's where you should be looking up to. You can still like this person and enjoy their music or their acting or whatever, but you can also look up to this person.
I'm going to say something. I don't know if it's going to stir up the pot, right? Just follow me. What you said, right? Our kiddos, they look up to maybe the thug type, right?
Yes.
Man, I don't know what I'm getting ready to step into. I see that starting with women in the relationship. And the reason why I say that, when I was a clean-cut good boy, I was labeled soft. Mm-hmm. They didn't want the soft kid because it's like, we don't even know if you like girls at the moment, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like that soft. When I had to get the edginess, when I started getting in trouble, then the women that I want, they wanted a bad boy, right? So for me, I get that our sons do it, but I see it even on an adult level. And so it's like, do we feel like even as women, we promote the positive black guy?
Step in.
Yeah, absolutely. Please. Like I said, I'm with.
I feel like those women are immature.
Okay.
And I don't care who gets mad at me or not.
Yeah.
They're trying to have something that they feel is, again, like I said, for the kids, cool. And you need to be old enough and mature enough to realize that you have your own kids that you need to have as they're looking up to you. Yeah. Especially if you're a single mom. Yeah. So if you're a single mom going chasing after these thug dudes, come on now, what you gonna raise? A thug dude. And then you want to claim and cry that my son is not getting treated fairly. Well, you look what you're raising. And I'm all about respect. Yeah. And I'm all about, so my kids know not to embarrass me in school and don't embarrass me in public. Because if I gotta tear you up in public, no, but for real. And don't cuss in front of me. Now I know my kids, so they say some words. Curse, whatever. They say some words, but I don't do it in front of me. It's a respect thing.
Absolutely.
But you have these women out here that are, like you said, going after these thug guys, that they let these kids just sag, and they let them cuss in front of them and treat people how they want to be treated. Yeah. Not mine. Yeah. But I have a different mindset, and it could be because, one, how I was raised, or it could be two, I had a kid young, and I don't want him to be a stereotype. Yeah. I don't want to be a stereotype. Hence why I've done everything that I've had to do thus far to make sure I don't fall in that 16 and pregnant stereotype. Yeah. So to me, they're immature. Just my own opinion.
What are you saying in the media about?
I think, one, they either getting killed, right? So you got that. And then ultimately, I feel like what's being presented to black boys is the only thing you can do is be a rapper or play sports. That's it. Yeah. Those are your only options. That's all you're going to be good at. Yeah. And, I try to push my son so much that's not it. Yeah. You can do so many other things. Like that's great. If you want to do that, that's fine. You can pursue it. That's okay. Yeah. But one, you need a backup. Yeah. Please. And two, that's not the only thing you can do. Yeah. You can do other things. Those are not the only things that you are capable of doing and being successful at. Yeah. But unfortunately, I feel like that's what it is. Like I can remember, my husband went into a jewelry store one time, and we were looking at stuff and whatnot. The person that worked there literally was like, "Oh, what sport do you play?"
You get that all the time.
I get it all the time. I make up something.
He be lying to people too.
Yeah,
and he just right. Like he wants to have fun with them people, but for me, it just pisses me off. Absolutely. Right? It makes me mad, and he wanna. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna go. Yeah. And I'm just like, autograph. Right. And so he'll go along with people's craziness, but I'm just like, why is that the thought with any black male that's able to buy something, that's able to get something, that's able to do something? The thought is you must be an athlete.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
I ain't thinking of it like that though. That's deep. Right?
Like there are certain things there are certain triggers. So that part, I'm guilty. I didn't even think about it. Now I'm going to start thinking. Trust me, I have a whole. They be like, "Hey, you ever play ball?" I'm like, "Look, man, it's for the soccer mother. A lot of Cougars, it's a team no longer play."
But
right.
Wow. My rebuttal with that. So not necessarily a rebuttal, but I do have sometimes I'm told I'm different. Right? And it's only because of my dialect and because I sound like I may have read a book or two and they're like, "Man, you're different." How so? How, Sway?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But it's so that's kind of that's kind of
that comes up it's like, "Oh, well, you're really smart."
Okay.
Oh, all right. And so I just I try to get the little one, he's too little, so he's whatever.
And he's bodybuilding. That's what
he's But, my oldest, I just try to get him to understand, don't let the media and everybody else in the world or whoever think that this is the only thing that you can do.
Absolutely.
Because you can do so much more.
Absolutely.
You can.
Yeah.
But it's like we pushing it down these boys' throats that these are their only options.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. So she had mentioned James. Like I say, we're gonna mention his name enough. Hopefully he'll sponsor. but one thing about our household, we're LeBron James fans. They are. I say they are. He's cool, but there was one he looked up to. I know that's one he looked up to that I had to take the cake for that. But for different reasons, I admire him. And it's the people don't like the school that he started.
Yes.
The fact that when he came in, he said, I'm going to be the first billionaire athlete. And he is working his way on that.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I look at. Now, he used this as a way to gain it.
Yeah.
But look at what he's doing. Look at Shaquille O'Neal. Look at what he's doing. And so, like, you're absolutely right. There are so many other things that go unnoticed. I mean, I know African-American males that are doing great things, but it's like they just, oh man, you guys are different.
Yep.
No, it's more of us than you think.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
what hit on what you were saying, it don't sell.
Exactly.
No.
It doesn't. It won't sell just to be like, oh, and I don't want to sound bitter, but you had mentioned what I do for a living. For when I was in the schools years, I did it out the kindness of my heart. I mean, I go home, the parents knew me, the whole thing. Did this for years, and it just because that's what I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden I would see these clips of, even she showed me like, oh baby, look at this police officer, a white police officer playing basketball. I'm like, dude, like I have a kickball team with these kiddos.
Yeah.
Like I'm going into their homes and it wasn't, it's like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, this happens all the time, but so not bashing or anything like that, but just saying like certain things.
It's just facts.
It don't
Yeah.
sell.
They don't want to see
popular.
that.
Yeah.
True.
You want to take a crack at that?
Honestly, it's unfortunate, but it's the piggybacking off of what VJ and Precious have already said. It's the killing that you constantly see in the media. It's the slandering of Black men that you constantly see. It's the consistent negatives. Like VJ specifically said, it's you are only able to be an athlete and or a rapper to be successful. The foundation of that start back for me is what is success? Unfortunately, people have different definitions of what success is, but the media doing their job, a bad job at it, but the media doing their job oftentimes only show one particular thing. And just what do I see as far as what Black men are shown as in the media? That's it. It's this is all you can do. This is all you're good for, and so on and so forth. So me, in my position, as a mom, something I constantly have to do is speak against the word curses of what the media tries to plant. It's a seed. However, I will not, have not, and shall not water that seed.
Yeah.
I definitely go against the grain consistently, just like I said, to speak against those word curses of what media tries to teach my son that he is. And I try to show him and consistently instill in him what he is and who he is to rise above that in spite of what they show, in spite of what they say. So that's that.
Question for you all. You can say yeah or no, you can expand. It's on you. Have your son dealt with racism yet?
Absolutely.
And I say yet because unfortunately
It's coming. Yes.
So you say yes.
Yep.
Okay. Chantel?
Yes.
Yeah. You?
I know one of my bonus sons have for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah, that was. Would you care to share kind of what it was?
So, I mean, he's had, a couple of different instances, and then this is I don't have anything specific to say, but as far as in general, this is a struggle we have as Black parents.
Okay.
Or I'm not even gonna say Black parents, because a white parent struggles if they have a Black child as well. And so the struggles of having a Black child are, where do I live? Where do I send my child to go to school? And what's going to happen in each instance? Okay. Yeah. Do I want to be in a predominantly Black area where I know the education is lower and I know that they have, less chances of, being successful? Not saying that they can't, because I mean, hey, I went to St. Louis Public Schools. Think I'm doing all right. But, the chances are lower, right? Yeah. Or do I want to move to a predominantly white area, send my child to this great school, But now there's not that many people that look like him out there. Yeah. And so that's the problem. And those are the issues that, you know, I struggled with my oldest in particular, because, you know, we kind of bounced around again, as I mentioned earlier. And, you know, he was different situations, and now he's at a predominantly white school. And, you know, so he's witnessed or had to deal with racism there. But it's that struggle of, but do I really want to send him to school here, right? Because this is one of the best schools in the country, right? So
it really is.
I want to keep it.
Yeah, I went there as well. It really was.
This is one of the best schools, and you know, these schools over here are, you know, the bottom of the barrel, right? I mean, even with considering moving to an area, you're like, do I want to do that? Because he's at driving age. Is he going to get pulled over? Is he going to get shot? What's going to happen? Yeah. And so, unfortunately, it's hard. You want to do what's best for your child, but then you're like, what's best for them?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is best for them? Yeah. Is it best that they're around people that look like them? Yeah. Because then they could fall into that stereotype of being around the wrong people. Like Precious said, you hanging out with the wrong person and this and that, or you end up at a lower school, so you struggling to get into the college that you want to, or whatever the case may be, or, you know, scouts don't come see you because, you know, they don't come to this area or whatever, but then I send you out to this other school, but now you got to deal with all these people that don't like you because of your skin color. Yeah. So it's like, what's best for my child?
Yeah. That's to speak on that, and I want people watching this to know we're not picking on any other. It's just facts, you know. But one of the things, and even us searching for our home, you know, we want to look at the number that school has, the rating that school has. But unlike other families of different color, we have to consider that. Yep. And there was one area we actually we enjoyed the homes there, and true story, we enjoyed the homes, and I was like, man, this is a nice area for the homes. And so I had to ask around. I had a buddy of mine who stay out there, and he's a white guy, white police officer. This is what he said. He was just like, man, let me be honest. He was like, you're a big dude. You won't have issues. He was like, but your sons will. And he was like, and if your son's anything like you, it's probably going to be a fight every day. Yep. What does that say?
Wow.
Exactly.
That my sons. And then to further this, actually, I work with an officer, young lady, who, she's young, not too long ago, was in that high school. And I was like, hey, you're from that area. What do you take? She said, Sarge, if you can do anything else, don't send them to that school. She was like, we have and she showed me the clip. There was a clip of a young white girl, wrote the N-word on her forehead, painted herself black, and she like went live or something like that, went on, and she said it was a big deal. And they wasn't really giving her consequences until parents started coming up there, right?
Yep.
And you think about that, and so these are the things that, unfortunately, like I said, we're not picking at anybody, but these are facts. These are things that they have to deal with. So when you're searching for a home, it's unfortunate. Yeah. But okay, I want to know what's the HOA. I want to know what the taxes are, and then I have to unfortunately know some things that may not be on this, or the real estate agent may not be willing to tell. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here in the summertime. I'm going to get my big black behind out at night and see how long did it take the cops to come, you know.
Absolutely.
So these are unfortunate parts, but it's sad. It's sad to say that all of you all have said yes, and knowing that I think you have the oldest son of the three, which is 18, but only 18. And for everyone to say yes, they experience racism. You know, just it's sad, but it's life. Not everyone's like that. Just like not everyone black is the stereotype. Not everyone white is racist. But it's just unfortunate that we live into this society. I want to dive into something else, right? And it's funny because you all know me. Right? Have you all had the police talk with your son? And
absolutely.
I was gonna say, if you're black, you already know what the police talk is. Yeah. How have you had the police talk?
I mean, I don't think I personally had the police talk, but my husband definitely.
Yeah. What does that look like? What does the police talk look like? Just in case somebody's sitting there like, I don't know what police are. They wear badges? Like, what is that?
So, unfortunately, the police talk has become, I don't know no more. But originally it was, You follow directions. You do what you need to do. You don't make any sudden movements. You yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, whatever. Or ultimately, don't do nothing to be around the police. But if you end up, if you happened to get in that situation, this is what you do.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do anything to make anybody think that, you know, you're doing anything just so you can get out alive. Period. That was the conversation. And to be honest, recently, I don't even know what to say. Because you can comply, you can do whatever it is you want. You might still end up dead. So the conversation now has completely changed. It's no longer what we were telling our children. Now it's literally avoid cops at all costs. Do not call the police if something happens unless you are literally about to die because you might end up dead anyway. So unless you're in a situation where it's literally life or death, do not call the police. That is what the conversation has become. Because calling the police and a black person is in the area could potentially be a death sentence.
Wow.
That's deep. I mean, it's deep, period. But the fact that I'm sitting across from you and it's like hearing this is what people think. And man, I know this, you know, I experienced this. So it's something I can't, there's nothing I can do about that's your truth.
Right,
and that's what, I mean, you're one of probably million of people who think like that. So Chantel?
I definitely agree with VJ. It at one point was a conversation of comply, do what you're told, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, type of thing. And for me, it's an additional conversation more so now that my son is older, and I have been blessed to consider the things that we talked about earlier to be in an area where half of my son's friends are white. Yes, he has black friends. However, the area that we live in, the school that I decided to stay in, and sacrifices I have made to keep him in that school district to have a better education and so forth, to have a better livelihood and so forth. Again, the majority of time, his friends are Caucasian, so he's the only black child.
So he knows to let them speak when they get pulled over.
So it's even more a conversation too, you know, son, make sure you do X, Y, and Z, you know, when you're in these situations, or when you're in the car and it's four of you all and you're the only black, you know, child in the car, a black person in the car. You know, unfortunately, you have to do things that you are not thinking about. Like, you have to be quick on your feet, but not quick on your feet to run, not quick on your feet to move, but you have to be quick on your feet in thought process. Your mind game, your mental has to be stronger. You know, you have to be not stronger in physical, though you are, you know, out of the friends, but you have to be stronger mental, you know, out of the friends. So unfortunately, that conversation has changed, and it hurts. It really does hurt. But it's our reality, and again, for us as the parent, we're trying to think what's best for our child, because we're not omnipresent. We're not God. We can't be with them all the time, you know, with them and everywhere they go and everywhere they be. So you just have to understand that how they think and make sure that they're thinking the right way, regardless of the situation, you know, that they're in. So,
well, and even something else you said if he's in a car with all the a bunch of white kids, I've told my son, you can't do what they do.
Exactly.
You can't do what they do.
So I said, let them speak.
I don't care but even in school, not even with the police, you can't do what they do. If they do this, well, everybody, it don't matter.
Exactly.
Because you're going to be the one that gets in trouble.
Exactly.
You can't do what they do.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, it's even a conversation because, you know, he's 16, going to get his license and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You can't take anybody anywhere. You can't be in the car riding 4 deep. You cannot be in the car with, nobody can ride with you.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Because unfortunately, a group of black kids in a car is a target.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah. This is hitting me hard. But I wish you all don't know how badly I wish I could say you're wrong. But you're not. And we've even had, I know she may not personally, but I've had those conversations with my son. And one thing I've even told other officers that I know, I said, man, it's unfortunate. And these are white officers. The officers that I know, they're really good guys, and I'm going to be transparent with them, and they know to respect me and everything like that. But I told them, I said, all the sons we have, they're tall, they're athletes, they have build to them. I said, when they go to the store, they don't know that their dad is a supervisor on a police department. Their mom has a great job. They have businesses and books and things like this. But they don't see that. Yeah. They don't also see that they get allowance and they always have money. They're not just window shopping, but unfortunately they're not going to see that. And so when you call in on them and it's like, this is all you see, hey, watch yourself. Because these little boys, they're spoken for. But how many other young people are not spoken for? And like I said, I wish I can say it's different. And that's not to speak on all officers.
No.
But it is. And even myself as an adult, I may have told this story, but I remember I was a rookie, and I remember I'm in the patrol car.
Wow.
I'm in a patrol car. I'm a rookie. And I'm driving, and I got what's called an FTO, field training officer, on the side of me, and I'm driving, and I am in my town in a patrol car. I see a police officer from another venue behind me. I hit my brake. And the FTO was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just trying to slow down. It's like, slow down for what?
Because I'm a black man in a car.
And it hit me. Wow. That's how beaten it was.
Yeah.
And there was no other excuse of it. Like, here you the popo, bro. Like,
you or them.
And you're in your own town. Like, you're in your own city. And I wasn't even speeding. It's just, I saw him. I was like, oh, police behind me.
Yeah.
And this is such a true story. But I'm like, yo, slow down. And that's how it is. And unfortunately, I have had the police conversation with our children. And it does look different. I even with my oldest bonus son, when I was first involved with, in his life with mom, because I actually knew him being at his school, but as we started dating, he loved the color red and he loved bandanas, right? And now this kiddo, man, if you know him, like, this dude he's not a street dude. He's not even trying to be a street dude.
Very privileged.
All of our kiddos, they get whatever they want. But that's not even what he was trying to do. He just he liked that, and that's what was before him. And again, you see this guy, such a cool dude, pretty boy, the whole thing. But then he's watching a series of like, I think it's
Japanese show.
Yeah, it's like it's cartoons or something like that. So I mean, he's the best of both worlds. He'll go and hang out with his 9-year-old little brother, but then he's just super cool dude. So he wasn't
jock.
trying to. He's a jock. He wasn't trying to portray that. And so I asked him, I was like, man, why do you keep wearing these bandanas? And he was just like, I just like it. And that was his true answer. There was no, nah, that's what I'm doing, blood. No, he just, and I was like, hey man, let me just share with you. I was like, honestly, if I see this. As of not as dad, as of what I do, I'm gonna associate you with the gang, and how you're wearing it. I'm gonna associate, and the way you were wearing, the position that you're wearing means that you did X, Y, and Z. And he just what?
Wow.
What? And I can say out of respect, he hasn't done it. He hasn't done it since. But it's just that quick. And you talked about what some can do and some can't do. Unfortunately, you can be a farmer or you can be a construction worker. And so they wear bandanas all the time. But when I see a young black kid wearing a bandana, I'm even beaten with it. Unfortunately, my mind will go straight to, and as a black man, it will go straight to, is there gang affiliation? I'm not thinking, are you a construction worker? And it's unfortunate to think that way, but I always joke when I see a black man dressed up. You either got court or interview. Which one is it? And we joke about it, but so many people, like, they know that joke. They see you dressed up, and we're not thinking, oh man, he must be the COO or something. Nope. We're thinking like, hey, what they get you on, bro? And it's just like, so it's sad like that. So, but it's life. Wow. It's what it is. The police talk is so important, and I would encourage anybody out there to just be mindful, just be mindful. Keep having these conversations because we are, I see it. I know a lot of police officers. I see it. We can't do it overnight. Because these are years of things that has happened, but I do see us trying to move positive. But unfortunately, we have to at least make them known of, hey, these are the things. And one of the big things I see, especially, all of you all sons, they're athletes, right? sometimes it's just the fear of the officer. And not saying the officer is scary, but it's the fear. I mean, this dude, you say 6'3", I'm gonna argue that.
He is 6'3".
But you know, you get out the car, and again, I'm sure even people that are watching have seen us move with our hands. It's what we do, right? And I've had calls where I come out there, and one in particular, I'll never forget this. My man's was stabbed in the hand by his girl. He's stabbed in the hand. We pull him over because we get a call. He's stabbed in the hand. And when he get out the car, he is pissed. But I immediately hear he's not pissed at us. He's pissed because he just got stabbed in the hand.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he did go to jail, but I'm going to get to it. But he get out the car, and he's a big dude. And he's just like, man, no, blah, she blah, blah, blah. And they're like, sir, calm down, calm down. And so immediately, the police officers made it personal. Because he's not hearing that right now. He's not trying to disrespect us. He's just not hearing it right now. Thankfully, I'm there. Thankfully, I'm there and I can see this. And I even said, like, bro, what's her name? He was like, man, she up in there, bro. Like, and I'm just like, okay, his anger is with whoever this young lady is. It's not with us. But when you get on there, you don't know. It's like, hey, we got to keep the scene safe, and he's not. And to play devil's advocate, they have to keep the scene safe. They don't know what's going on at the time, but it's just that disconnect. And that's why it's important. Somebody just told me the other day, it was like, man, we need people more, need more like you, because you have to be able to decipher, like, hey, this is what's going on. And unfortunately, like you said earlier, they can't do the same thing, or our black sons unfortunately can't do the same thing. I've had white guys pop out on me like in the middle of the car, and I'm like, we wear cameras now, so I have to be careful what I say. But before that,
before you had God, really good.
Before God saved me,
I said some things.
They will pop out and just like, what do you? I'm like, whoa, like who? But we can't do that. Unfortunately, it's like that was an assault. Like you just, and so we see it. It's unfortunate. Like I say, making joke of it, but it's reality. Right. So we just have to continue to do that. Continue to have that with each other. I want to kind of close it with a little good part, because that's a tough conversation in itself, and I hope we're helping people. But as we close in my
third close,
right, really quick, let's talk about sex, baby, right? Because we all got males.
Okay.
Oh, you were serious?
Yeah, I wasn't just singing. Just as we finish this last little section,
like that topic.
But we have to have it. So, have we had the sex talk?
Yes, times 10 divided by 1,000. Yep, to the infinity power.
You've had it?
What does that equal?
Yes, it's not even a number. It's not even a number.
Have you had it? You said, you've had it?
Yes.
I know you've had it. Jeez. My mom tried to have it. You know how that was.
I'm very open and blunt with my children.
Yes, you are.
My mom gave me a book.
Wow.
I had a baby at 17, so let's proceed.
So don't give books.
That's what I heard. Do not give books, because clearly we don't read at 16.
She legit. I read. Not her book.
Wow.
I read.
That book was boring.
Like Sister Soldier and all the rest of them people.
That book made me want to do this.
Jeez. Let me ask this. How involved are you all with your son's relationships? Female-wise.
Very, very. I be trying to be. That's the ghetto side of me right now.
I try to be involved, but he's very
secretive.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't necessarily fault him for it. I was a teenager. I was not about. My parents, they wouldn't. Anyway,
that's a whole nother episode.
Even if my parents had been different, as a teenager, you don't want to talk to your parents about this stuff. You don't want, it's uncomfortable. It don't matter how cool, how close in age, how whatever your parents are. You don't necessarily want to have those conversations.
Yeah.
But I just try to make sure I'm having the dialogue, and I'm like, I'm not stupid. I know you talk to girls. Like, I'm not dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You?
Agree. How close am I in his relationship life? It may sound weird, but hear my heart. I'm close in it because of my personal relationship with God. So therefore, I ask God for wisdom, knowledge, and application and guidance as to how to talk to my son concerning that. Yeah. Because as VJ just referenced, you can be close, you know, in relationship. However, as a teenager, it's not something that they genuinely want to open up about or talk to you about and so on and so forth. So I just ask God to truly guide me in that area, because for me personally, it's not something I would want my son to have prior to marriage. However, I'm not going to disown him or disassociate him or put him out or rebuke him or cast him to hell and so on and so forth if that is something that he does prior to. However, it's not a want of mine. But because child support is a thing, it is real, and it's something that I don't want to be an issue for him again, ever. I would like for him to wait until he's married and to do that thing right and to have that bond, and that soul ties is real. It's a thing, and it matters. And so many people are fighting it and battling it and don't understand it because they may have had sex before they were supposed to and with somebody that they were not supposed to. So in understanding all of that, the sex conversation has been had, and it is something that I unfortunately will continue to have, because I truly want him to understand that, son, please wait. It's not worth it. You know, that it's temporary. You know, that pleasure that you think you're getting ready to get, it's temporary. And you should definitely wait until you're married to do it with the right person. So, And
I even told him, I said, I don't know why they show y'all them videos at school.
OMG.
I said, that's setting y'all up for failure. I said, let me tell you something. Again. You cannot see an STD on somebody. I don't know why they showing that to y'all. I said, they setting y'all up for failure. They're making you think that you can see an STD. And no, sir. No, sir.
I want to take a second and just say, man, please go get checked out. Because it's, I mean, when my wife and I, when we met, that was something I told her. I was like, hey, just so you know, I have a primary. I go probably more than I'm supposed to, but you know, and when we go up there, he always say, let's draw blood for the silent killers. So it's and it's funny, you know, men, we do think, you know, not dogging us men, but this is what we think. If the girl we with at the time got tested and she cool, then that must mean that I'm cool. So that's important. I appreciate, you know, and I already know, I know how blunt you are with, I mean, whew.
Yeah, but they're over here talking about, like, I'm trying to say that just hold out, and we know.
Yeah, don't air my man's out. No, hey, Vontae, she was getting ready to air you out, but I say that's why I said his name. But you ain't getting ready to air him out. He gonna thank me for it. But no, we appreciate from a father, from someone who is a son. And now have sons. You know, I appreciate just what you all are talking about. And it's very important. I'm going to say this, one, from the man's side, women should always look at the relationship of a son or a guy and his mom. You know, they should always look at that, because the mom is the first woman that we'll ever care about. And that relationship would dictate how he will, most times, how he would treat that woman. And so we need those. I needed my mom. There are things I do to this day that I always tell her, like, I always put on the inside. I always put on the inside when walking. I got that from my mom. It's important that we have that and establish that, you know. You all's job is difficult today. I want to tell you that you all have a difficult job, because right off the back, most of you all are saying that biological is not there. And yet you have to put water into a seed who is eventually going to plant another seed. And so you all are responsible for this generation, because we can't have kiddos without the male. We need them, right? And so not having, you know, all of us, we talked about I know you said a spiritual father, but that came later in life. So not having the idea of what we're supposed to do, you all are trying to do that without a blueprint. Right? And you all are doing a good job. And for all the mothers out there that may not have the blueprint, that's trying to do it, and for all the bonus dads that stepped up, because it's important that we do this. I believe with all my heart that there is some evil force trying to cut off the black man.
Yes.
And I'm not saying like, oh, the white man holding me. I'm not talking like that. I just think there is something trying to cut them off for whatever reason, because it's power. And so we have to educate them. We have to continue to guide them. We have to be there. What we need to go back to, your son is also her son, is also your son. I know growing up, yeah, it was my mom, but it was also if Miss Lisa or Miss, what was our next door neighbor? I forget Miss Marlene.
Yeah.
If any of them had to tell my mom about something that I did that was out of the way, I had to deal with them and I had to deal with my mom. We got to go back to that. We have to go back to just trying to show that, show the direction, because it's a tough job. So I applaud you all. My reason for having you all on here is for one, just to, thank you. Thank you, because my mom sat in that chair, not necessarily in this chair, but my mom sat in that chair and without a blueprint tried to do the best she could with myself and all of my brothers. And I'm thankfully, most of us are out here and creating things. I got a couple brothers who don't have sons, but for the most part, we out here trying to do something positive. And it started with a woman dedicated and saying, I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
I did what it take, but I didn't know what was going to happen. But you all stepped up. You stepped up and you took the pledge to raise a black son. And I have no doubt that these young men will be great. All right. So thank you. Thank you.
For having us.
Thank you. Yeah. One last question, and then we get up out of here.
Okay.
Is there a woman good enough for your son? Come on. Yeah, nah. Is there a woman out there good enough for your son?
Yes.
I told my son we doing background checks on folks.
Background? How you gonna do that? You don't call the police?
What you mean? I ain't gonna call the police doing no background check. They got internet sites. As long as you're willing to pay for it, you can get what you need. You can get what you need as long as you're willing to pay for it.
Background checks. What?
I worked my butt off, so we making sure we.
Yeah.
Background checks don't mean nothing. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. It would be a good added bonus.
Right, it's a piece of the puzzle.
So there's someone out there for them, because we have several, but there's someone out there for them.
Absolutely.
They're going to probably go through a couple that are not, which we know and they have already.
Yeah.
But that's teaching them. They're learning through that as well.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there will be. Nobody will ever replace mom, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can't say that because I love my mom, but she sits in the back when I pick you up. So.
Yeah, but that I just read that in the scripture. So that's what you're supposed to do. However, I'm the coolest.
That's true.
See, I don't know if your mom was the coolest. I love Mama Pink.
Yeah, I got you.
No offense.
But no. It was all jokes. There is obviously somebody, right? I'm just hoping that they pick the right one.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, keep doing what you all are doing, and I have no doubt. So, one more time, thank you to all of the mothers out there, not just black sons, but all of the mothers out there. They're planting positive seeds, because parenting is difficult. It truly takes a village, but you all are doing it. And even though we may not hear news stories on how great of a job you all are doing, I want to take this time from Something Like Therapy, our crew and our family, to say thank you. We love you. And until next time, be blessed. All right, what's going on, guys? I hope that you enjoyed tonight's podcast. I know I had a blast. I'm hoping that something was said that you can take away from. And the word we have of today is actually a fun word. I had to look it up myself, and I hope I pronunciate it right. It is doyenne. It's Doyenne. And if you're out there and you recognize the word, feel free to help me with the pronunciation of this word. But the meaning is a woman who is the most respected and prominent person in a particular field. And the fact that I had 3 amazing mothers on there, I feel like that word was perfect for the podcast today. All right, so try to use that word in a sentence sometime this week, and I guarantee you'll surprise someone. All right, be blessed.